What's up then, folks? This is your resident master of education here, the educator, and today, this is kind of a training video. Like, I don't really do this enough, and just kind of felt like, going through like what an outdoor training, or an outdoor solo training session looks like. So we're here at over on Southern Maine Community College's campus. It's one of the best parkour spots in Maine. Gonna run through like warm-up spots, like kind of like what we're doing here. So let's get into it. I don't know how this happens. It always gets tangled up there. A little bit. So here I've got American Parkour's super nifty precision stick. It's a great tool to use for all sorts of training purposes, and I like to use it for warming up because it gives you the ability to do some balance and mobility stuff, and also incorporate into smaller and larger, larger lines as well. But I'm going to use this right now for some calf raises, just to get blood pumping through my calves. So you have like big veins in your calves, and that helps to get things going. So every time your calves contract, they're moving blood through the body. So I'll do anywhere between 10 to 20 of these, depending on your tolerance for it. And then I'm going to do some balance squats as well, just nice and slow for mobility's sake. And you let these go just a little bit. Box ships. I love box jumps as a warm-up exercise because they're dynamic and plyometric, but they're also low impact because you're going up, so you don't have the impact of coming down. So yeah, when you're training an explosive sport like parkour, doing something like a box jump, especially in your warm-up routine, is going to be super helpful. That's a good start. And go ahead and do that one again. Gotta warm up to that one. So, what I'm noticing, and I've never actually trained outside of these before, the strike movement, chill pill advanced formula, chill pill mid advanced formula, and the grip is just nuts. Like, I've never trained in a shoe quite like this. It's good on smooth, good on textured, like it just does a little bit of everything. So with that, let's show you some flips. Going in. I think I can do a bit better than that. A bit better. One. One and done. That was a lot of impact. Okay. Am I going to risk my super expensive camera to do this? Hope this shot's worth it, we'll see. Let's see how that came out. So it was just off, unfortunately, but I got the right idea. So I guess I need to move it a little further in, and then I'll have the right shot. Alright, I'm gonna set it here. Oh, come on. Alright, let's see how this one comes out. Alright, that's a little bit better. It still needs to be over a little bit more. So we're gonna try one more time, and then we're gonna move on to a different spot. God, this thing is like We are en route to a spot for more climbing stuff. There's just some like buildering, urbex stuff. Nothing too special, but I think it's fun. So we're gonna go ahead and do it. Battery's running low, so I'm going to turn off for a second. I'm going to zap over to our next spot now. No, you're fine. Okay, so now we're over at the Eastern Prom. I'm going to finish today with some muscle ups. This stuff is so good. It's like chalk, but nice and grippy, which is an important thing for muscle ups, because one, you want to have good grip, two, you don't want moisture, because that's when rips and nasty things happen, so make sure you chalk up before. And this is where my camera died. So unfortunately my camera died, so we're going to see on fun. Please excuse the audio quality. Okay. So, this is kind of an outro of sorts, because I wanted to talk a bit about some of, one challenge really that I've had in my career as a parkour athlete and instructor, I guess, in turn as well. I've always had kind of like floppy joints, like glass ankles. Spent a lot of time in occupational therapy. Like getting stronger and stuff. I've gotten stronger still and better, and doing resistance training and stuff. Makes the muscles stronger, and then in turn makes ligaments and tendons and things tighter and stuff. But I had multiple concurrent ankle sprains, like kind of the lateral ones, where like your foot kind of like goes to the side like that, and I was kind of taking the wrong approach to it for the longest time. I was I was wearing these like Victorian corset things on my ankles, and the problem with something like this is that it doesn't fix the problem, it kind of masks it, right? So sure, you get like stability and stuff and rigidity, and you're less likely to roll your ankle, but it doesn't actually fix the problem. It's like putting a band-aid over like a festering gangrenous wound, not that extreme obviously, but it doesn't fix the problem. And ankles to some degree need to have some amount of flexibility in them, right? Like they move in the ways that they do for a reason, especially like in an athletic application like parkour, right? So by limiting the mobility that you have in your ankle, like literally decreasing the mobility, that mobility is kind of made up elsewhere, right? Chiefly your knees and your hips, and there's like some like flexibility in your hips, but your knees aren't supposed to be a flexible joint, or they move in one way, right? So they're not supposed to be hypermobile. They are literally a hinge. They go like that, right? So when you limit that mobility in your ankles, it has to be made up for somewhere, and it's usually your knees, and then your knees to your hips. And as a result, like I dealt with some knee stuff, like knee pain and things like that. So this is kind of like a PSA against ankle braces, because they don't really fix the problem. In fact, they make more problems for you, right? Just to illustrate, I was going, I'm not sure if it's illustrating anything, but like I was wearing these, and they're uncomfortable, and they hurt, and they pinch. I don't know if you see, like I got like these like moleskins kind of like in there to kind of protect like the tarsals on top of my feet from getting cut into, and like it was literally like cutting off like circulation in places where like I had numbness in parts of my feet for like maybe months, like a year. Like I remember like feeling like numbness in here, like it literally like it was numb to the touch, right? Like if you like pricked it with a pin, I wouldn't feel it, right? Now I'm taking a different approach towards my ankles. There's like a number of things, like I went from these things, gone. Don't get too excited now, right? You're like a T-Rex, you like see something that moves and you want to go for it. Now I'm wearing this. I did a shoe review a while back. This is the Strike Movement Chill Pill Mid Advanced Formula, and it's like, for me personally, it's like the best shoe I've trained in to date. There are some key features to this shoe that make it great for individuals that have, they're susceptible to ankle sprains. They have a super nice flat platform and a low heel drop. And so that low heel drop makes your whole foot kind of closer to the ground. And what that does is that it helps to better replicate natural biomechanics in your gait and your stride, right? Whereas if you had like a big chunky heel, that would lead to problems. It's essentially like wearing high-heeled shoes, right? Like stilettos or something. I've never worn stilettos, but I can imagine why that might increase the incidence of ankle sprains. like living in like Portland, Maine, I've been out to the old port at night and I've seen folks walking in like stilettos in the old port on like those cobblestone streets, and I always go, it's like a broken ankle waiting to happen. The other thing is that I have very flat feet, and I've done numerous things to help get them better and stuff, but it's just kind of the way it is with me, right? And I wish I still had them, but I was prescribed as a kid these inserts, and they were chunky, man. Like, they had this huge heel on the bottom of it, and it just it was a pain in the ass, to wear, because it was essentially like you already had these like chunky shoes with like a chunky heel, and then you're putting even more of a heel on top of that, and it's like, it's no wonder that I sprain my ankles all the time. It's because my feet were in a compromised position for my natural biomechanics, right? It's like, looking back, it's a no-brainer. So what I've opted for now, and I'll get it out of this shoe. Oi, like that. Look, if you want to be on camera, you've got to be nice. This naughty cat knocked over a glass and broke it earlier, and I had to vacuum it up. Staying on topic. I wear these now in my shoes. So these are legend. So these are they're made by a company called Footprint Insoles, and they specialize in at-home custom orthotics. And what's nice about these is that they have this kind of non-Newtonian kind of property to it, where like if you apply pressure, it hardens, and then when it's like warm and like smooth, it's more fluid, right? But they have generally kind of a lower profile to them than like traditional prescribed orthotics. So that way I'm still getting that arch support where I need it, but it's not lifting my foot up into here like this, where I'm like wearing high-heeled shoes. And the shock absorption is just great. If you're doing like a lot of like high-impact stuff, like drops and flips and things like that, and you're like, I'm a fairly big guy. Like I'm 6'3", I'm like 190-ish pounds. Oh dear. Please. They definitely help out in that respect. So instead of having those like super high profile arches, these are a great investment for your money. They're like $60. They're like pretty competitively priced compared to like other insoles, and I'll leave a link in the description below for these as well. But the other thing I've done is like actively work on rehabbing and prehabbing my ankles. So one of the tools that I use to do that with is American Parkour's precision stick. And it's a deceptively versatile and useful tool because you can use it for a lot of different things. I've put in like previous videos, how you can use it to get started in parkour, and you can use it to like, add into lines and help build lines and kind of expand like what's already at a parkour spot and transform it and change elements of that spot, right? But today in this outro, we're gonna look at some ways as to how you can use one of these to actually help not just, brain fart. It helps to not just rehab your ankles, but also to actually prevent ankle injuries in the first place. And there'll be additional things that you can do outside of this too that I'll show you. But first, I'm going to show you how you can use one of these to help prevent ankle things, ankle injuries, ankle rolls, etc. Guys, thanks again for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the training vlog. I want to make kind of a series of these at some of my favorite parkour spots around Portland, Maine, and sort of a general southern Maine area, because it really is a lot to train at. And I feel like the majority of people in the parkour scene are unfamiliar with what's available. But there's some great spots, and I want to highlight that in the training vlogs. I also want to do more stuff with this, talk about some of the experiences I've had with injuries and things, and what I did to get over that, but also how to prevent injuries in the future, because I didn't get a lot of guidance on that, and I want to offer that back to people so that people aren't making the same mistakes that I made, things like that. I'll put a link to the inserts in the description below as for this as well, how you can get your hands on the American Parkour Precision Stick. But until then, this is Nina. She says hi, or bye, I guess. And this has been The Educator.